Heading west from the Shoreline parking lot off Boston Post Road in Madison, you'll come to 2 crosswalks. Cross them, then take a quick right. Otherwise, you'll ride straight into Hammonasset. This stone dust trail is scenic and rides nicely for about 1.33 miles, past a marsh, over a bridge, into the woods. But after you finish it, you're stuck on Route 1 for quite some time. Be careful to get on Route 1 and not take the harder left, which is actually Liberty Street. Did I mention you should wear a helmet if you're tackling this ride? You should. The thing is, much of the trail that's envisioned isn't finished yet. And even when it is, some of it still will run along the roadway. The good news is that the route takes you through some cute downtowns, including Madison's. That makes it easy to grab a quick bite or a drink along the way. The group trying to create the trail is a nonprofit appropriately called Shoreline Greenway Trail. Guilford residents started it in 2002, setting a goal of building a 25-mile trail from Hammonasset in Madison to Lighthouse Point Park in New Haven. Originally, they had hoped some owners would offer use of private property, but over the years, they decided to stick to state and town property instead. The property along the shoreline is just too valuable to relinquish, it turns out. I also should mention I missed the turn to 146, so I took a slight detour. Ignore that. Again, you'll ride through a cute downtown, Guilford's this time. 1.5 miles past the green, still on Route 146, you may notice a small parking lot on your right. It's for Westwoods, which is one of my favorite and I think underrated places to hike. Take a break if you'd like. Continuing on 146, take in the sights as you cross into Branford. Lots of streams, some grassy fields, and, at least when I was there, noticeably less traffic. When you get to it, hang a left on School Street and continue to my favorite part of the trail, the Branford Trolley Trail. Shoreline didn't create the Trolley Trail, I should mention. The Branford Land Trust did many years ago. Once you find the less than a mile stretch off Thimble Island Road, I suggest hopping off the bike. You can look out over the Sound and glimpse some of the Thimble Islands before crossing a striking iron bridge. Built in 1907, it used to carry trolleys from New Haven to Stony Creek, a historic Branford spot. Continue through the woods and onto a beautiful but narrow boardwalk, where you can look out onto a salt marsh and see the nesting platforms from afar. Find your way back to 146, where, about 1 mile from the end of the Trolley Trail, you'll see the entrance to the next section of the Shoreline Greenway. It's bordered by large stones on either side. Definitely walk the first part of this. Heading left when you get the chance will take you to a wider path, where you can again set down your wheels. This newest part of the trail, the Tabor Trail section, is a bit buggy, I won't lie, but it's interesting, especially in a narrow, wildflower-lined portion that's buzzing with dragonflies and butterflies. Follow along as it changes from dirt to gravel, runs along the train tracks, and across a couple roads. When you hit the paved section, which is quite nice, be sure not to miss the labyrinth that will pop up on your left. Judith Miller, who's chair of the Shoreline Greenway Trail's board of directors, said Branford resident Bill Ludwig installed the labyrinth as a form of walking meditation. A bonus? It's wheelchair accessible, and so is the paved portion of this trail. From here, you might want to use a Maps app to get you to the next section of the trail. I did. But along the way, you'll pass the popular Stony Creek Brewery before ending up on Route 142. Miller said the trail likely always will be a patchwork of different materials. In some cases, like through the thick of state parks, dirt makes more sense. Asphalt was important on the Tabor Trail because wheelchair access was a goal, etc., etc. Cost also is a factor. The Shoreline Greenway Trail is ambitious because it's not a rail-to-trail project, and creating new trails can be expensive. Miller said someone once told her it can cost $1 million per mile to lay new trails in wooded areas. Yikes. After you travel through Branford's beautiful Short Beach neighborhood, the easiest thing to do is keep going until you see the Farm River State Park lot on your left. That's not what I did, by the way. And I don't advise doing what I did now that I know what I know. But what I did was turn left on Brown Road, which is well before the state parking lot. If I had done this differently, I would have traveled the Farm River portion of the trail from north to south, turned right on Brown Road, and continued to the section of the trail by the D.C. Moore Elementary School. That section is missing from the time-lapse, but it features a wide stone dust trail that turns to dirt and ends at Bradford Preserve. One day, advocates hope a boardwalk will span the preserve and connect riders to a beach on the other side. Instead, I took the dirt and gravel trail south to north, but not before exploring Farm River State Park, which offers gorgeous views of the river for which it's named. Because I live in West Haven, I headed back up to Route 1 and over to Long Wharf. This part of Route 1 easily was the worst of the whole trip. Especially as it nears Interstate 95, Route 1 brings drivers whipping by you at 60 plus miles per hour, despite a much lower posted speed limit. Anyway, the wharf, lined with delicious food trucks that you may have seen if you've driven by there, also features a trail along the water and designated bike and pedestrian lanes on the road. It's easy to hop from there into the Long Wharf Nature Preserve, which, while it definitely smells a little seafoody, has become a new favorite spot of mine. That trail I mentioned, by the way, is called the Vision Trail, a 1.5-mile stretch through New Haven built in 1995. I continued into West Haven along the water until I hit the Savin Rock Boardwalk, an underrated but still popular 2-mile jaunt. If you want to go beyond the proposed Shoreline Greenway Trail, which again ends in New Haven, I recommend heading to Savin Rock and then stopping at Jimmy's for some seafood.